Hey, it's Steve Corona, and this is day 8 of the Productivity Playbook. Today's the last and final day. I'm so proud of you for making this far. It's been 8 days of intense lessons and action items that hopefully will help you be more productive as you live the rest of your life. Different tricks and tools that now are part of your toolkit and that you can continue to use and continue to develop just to make yourself more productive and to get to where you want to be. Today's one of my favorite lessons. It's on how to become a morning person. I think that this is a very valuable lesson. Becoming a morning person has really fundamentally changed my life. For a long time, it's something that I struggle with very deeply. You know, I was always that guy that considered himself a night owl, that stayed up until 4 a.m. working on things, really wouldn't get that rush of inspiration until late in the night. And, I'd pay for it the next morning. I would wake up late. I'd wake up at 11 or noon, For a lot of my life, I was super lucky and didn't have a very strict 9-to-5 office job. I was able to stay up as late as I want and go to bed as late as I want and then wake up as late as I want and work then, But it just, even though I had those freedoms, I always felt like I was missing out on something. That people that woke up early, that they knew something that I didn't, that they were part of some secret club where it was magically easy to wake up. Because for me, the problem was that it really was always really difficult to wake up early. It wasn't so much that I was super productive at night. It was just that it was so damn hard to wake up early. I'd get out of bed and I would be so tired and exhausted and just everything would hurt and I wouldn't feel good. And given the freedom to wake up later and later, it kind of exasperated itself into this weird night owl syndrome. And it's just something that I became, that I identified with. And I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that work a lot, programmers especially, I saw this a lot when I was in college, that a lot of programmers would identify with this night owl syndrome. And it's something that I thought I would just be a night owl for the rest of my life. When I finally figured out how to become a morning riser, I realized that in fact everyone's a morning riser. Really, everyone is a morning person. And the reason why I wasn't a morning person or why you aren't a morning person right now is simply because of bad habits that you might not even realize that you have. We have, a natural rhythm to our lives. And when we fall out of sync with this rhythm, it turns into that night owl syndrome. So in fact, becoming an early riser is simply a matter of shifting your day and shifting your hours and getting back on that natural cycle or rhythm of hours in your life. So here are some tips that have really substantially helped me. The first thing, and this kind of gets repeated a lot, but it's really worth mentioning, is that screens fuck up your daylight rhythm cycle. When you have screens blasted in front of your eyes, that really bright LED display, when that's shining into your eyes until 10 minutes before you go to bed, that's gonna mess you up. So, there's the easy to say but hard to follow advice of just don't put any screens, around you for 2 hours before you go to bed. For most folks, that's just not practical. You like to, do things on the computer before bed, whether it's work related or not, whether it's just relaxing with some game or social media or whatever. You like to look at those things before bed, and you're not gonna just stop doing that 2 hours before bed and sit around and twiddle your thumbs. There's a really great program for pretty much every operating system. It's called Flux. And what Flux does, it changes the screen temperature, and they even have it for phones and tablets and iPads and all that sort of stuff. But Flux changes the screen temperature using some science they have where the color is warmer and it doesn't have that same impact on reducing the amount of melatonin that your body produces. What happens when you have these screens shining on you, your body actually confuses it for daylight. and your body doesn't make the necessary melatonin, which is that drug that you can go, to Target or something and buy a bottle of pills, and melatonin helps you fall asleep. Some people recommend taking it, but actually your body makes that naturally. The problem is when you have all these screens shining on you, your body doesn't make the melatonin. So Flex will change the temperature on your screen. It does this when the sun starts to go down. It's actually really neat. It uses your time zone to figure out when the sun goes down, and when that happens, whatever hour that is in your time zone and the time of year, it will change the color temperature on your screen around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock for me, and actually reduce the impact of your body not producing melatonin. It's pretty cool. So that way you can still use your gadgets and stuff before bed. That has helped me for sure. On the same topic of lighting, another thing that's helped me is this really interesting Philips Go Light. And what this is, it's this really bright blue light that simulates or I shouldn't say simulates, but it really hones in when you shine it on yourself in the morning. It tells your body, hey, it's bright out, it's really bright out, it's time to wake up. This is like, the day. It gives your body that like information for the daylight cycle, that it's started, that it's time to wake up. So it's really bright. I'm going to show you really quickly. It's this is what it looks like when it's on, when it's shining on you. So it's super, super bright, and that actually has helped me in the morning. I do that every morning. I blast it on my face, and to just help get my sleep cycles back on track, because they've been fucked up for so long, right? My sleep cycles and my circadian rhythm is just so messed up. All right, the next thing that's helped me is a supplement. And I'm not a doctor, so you should do all the necessary research, and I'm not telling you to go out and take this supplement, but I will tell you what has worked for me. So I've started taking vitamin D. And you might say, oh, Steve, but I already take a multivitamin and it has some vitamin D in it. I'm covered. And the truth is that you're probably not. If you look up, your multivitamin, it probably has a very low dosage of vitamin D, something in the realm of 400 to 700 IUs in each pill. In fact, the amount that I take, and again, you should do the research and you should not take the same amount that I do. And this is by no means a recommendation to do that, but I take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D every day. And the research that I've done on myself and my body weight, and I've got my blood tested on a website called WellnessFX. So I got a baseline of exactly how much vitamin D I have in my blood, and felt that this amount for me was very safe. And vitamin D is actually the opposite, or has the opposite effect in your body as melatonin. So when you take vitamin D in the morning, it helps you to regulate that wake up cycle. It kind of is like, not caffeine, but it promotes wakefulness. So having vitamin D and taking more than the recommended dose, actually for me, I noticed the results immediately, almost dramatically, like within a couple of weeks of really bumping up that vitamin D dosage. And I was low and deficient on vitamin D. After I got my blood test, that's one of the things that I learned, was that I had low levels of vitamin D. What I realized after I took it was that I would wake up in the morning, instead of being really groggy and tired and wanting to hit the snooze button and go back to sleep, I would actually just wake up, and I would be up, I would be awake. And sort of that, there's like that in-between stage when you wake up, when you first wake up. Sometimes it's not really you, like your conscious mind, it's not in control, and it's like someone else is driving and making these bad decisions to hit the snooze button or reset the alarm, things like that, that you wouldn't really make if you were fully aware, fully conscious. Once I started taking vitamin D and getting my levels back up, that actually was profoundly different, because when I would wake up, it's like I was already in the driver's seat, and there wasn't that weird blurry in-between ground where someone else was making bad decisions for me and hitting that snooze button. So that helped a lot. Now you should definitely do the research there. Get your blood tested at WellnessFX and learn how much vitamin D you already have in your body. And the research that I've looked up actually shows, a lot of people will argue, well, you don't need to supplement vitamin D because your body can make it from the sun. And what I found out on the research that I did was that you need to be pretty much naked in the sun for several hours per day in an area that gets a lot of sun. I live in San Francisco and it's very cloudy here. There's not often too much sun, and I work in an office. So even if I was outside, I wouldn't get that vitamin D that I need, but it doesn't matter because I'm in an office. So this is why I supplement, and you should make a case and do the research for yourself, but it has profoundly helped me quite a bit. The other tactic that helped me was a simple one, but I think it helps if you don't do it already, is to set an alarm on your phone for bedtime. So you set the alarm and you go to bed when it goes off. A lot of people struggle with getting to bed at a reasonable hour. They just kind of go to bed when they're tired. And I don't think that is a great way to live your life. You don't do everything else by the seat of your pants, and you certainly shouldn't go to bed just when you feel tired. So to help me from getting caught up with some project or really getting in depth and forgetting and losing track what time it is, I set an alarm every night to be in bed for 10:30. And when that alarm goes off, I need to be in bed. I stop what I'm doing and I go to bed. That has helped me. And the last thing I'm going to share with you that has really made a big impact, especially if you don't live by yourself, if you live with someone else. I always hated waking up early. I get up at 5 a.m. now, so that's very early, but I would hate waking my girlfriend up when my alarm went off in the morning. I'd feel bad, especially when I was still struggling with it and trying to get into that habit, and my alarm would go off, and she would wake up and be wide awake, and then I might hit the snooze button and go back to sleep, and it'd be really unfair because I would wake her up and then I would just fall back asleep, but she would be completely awake at that point. So I got one of those health wristbands, like a Fitbit or the Jawbone Up, and those actually have a built-in alarm. Well, they will just vibrate when it's time for you to wake up. And that really helped me for two reasons. A, because I didn't feel bad if, when I was still struggling with it, if I had to hit the snooze button or something like that, I would only wake myself up and let myself go back to sleep, but it would vibrate my wrist so it wouldn't wake her up. The second part was that it was really less jarring, I guess, to wake up to just the vibration versus, this loud iPhone alarm blaring, kind of like making you jump awake. It's not a really comfortable way to wake up. So get something like that that wakes you up in a more relaxing, pleasant way. There's iPhone apps that do this. There's a lot of technology in this space. You could spend as much or as little money as you want. The Jawbone Up or the Fitbit band for me seemed to be like the 80-20, the easiest but most value for the money. So all of those tactics have helped me. The last one that's a little bit harder and maybe some people don't want to do is, and this is, you don't need to do this, but giving up on caffeine and stopping to drink coffee really helps for what it's worth. I don't know that everyone can do that or that everyone wants to do that. I really enjoy a good cup of coffee, but not drinking it has certainly helped. So those are my tactics on how to become an early riser. I think that if you implement some of them, you'll at least start getting on the right track. This is probably the hardest item in the course. It's not something that you can just take action items and do. You really need to work towards this one. I think a moving target as far as a goal. It's something that you constantly try and work for, but that you don't just wake up and start doing the next day. I think the first time that I said I was going to wake up early the next day and really have this kick-ass day, I went to bed, set my alarm for 5 a.m. and then woke up at like 11:30 because it's hard, especially if you're coming from the complete other side of the spectrum. If you're staying up very late, it's just a really hard thing to do. The other thing that I want to share with you, just really a quick note to end this whole series on. This series has been awesome. But what I want to share with you is how I made these videos, right? When I started this, I didn't plan or prepare for a long time, and you can see that in the quality of the videos. I knew that I wanted to make this or that I needed to make this series, and I just said, fuck it. I got on my MacBook Pro and used the webcam that was built in. I didn't have any sound or lighting in the videos. You can tell very much they start out looking like shit and they gradually improve to look less like shit. I'm not gonna say that they're perfect, they're by no means that good, but you'll notice that the quality has ramped up. They've gotten better. I've gotten better at doing the videos, at sending them in, a timely fashion. But what I want the key takeaway to be is that that idea popped into my head and then I immediately did it. I didn't deliberate, I didn't Google and learn how to make the best videos and go out and spend thousands of dollars on the best equipment. Granted, I did upgrade my equipment a little bit after I started doing them, but that's the key point. After I started doing them, I just started, and then as they went along, I made them a little better every time. I'm certainly going to keep making videos, and each video I do will get better and better and better. But instead of trying to make the first one perfect, okay, instead of trying to make the first one so badass and spending all this time researching it, I just did it and I started with a shitty video. If you look at someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's very famous for having these crazy, really nice videos. If you go back and watch his first 40 videos, they're all garbage, right? They're all really poorly produced. The quality is shit. The content isn't that good. But the point is he has 1,000 of them and he just started one day and one by one made them a little better. And that's how you should look at doing everything that you have to do, not just videos. Any high value task that you need to do, you start tomorrow. And every day that you do it, you make it a little bit better. And eventually you have this perfect product. But perfection is just a bunch of tiny mistakes that you've done over and over and over again. So I want to leave you with that. I really am glad that I made this video series. I know that you're going to enjoy it. I know that there's a ton of value and a lot of actionable content in this. So you did an awesome job for being a finisher of Productivity Playbook, and have a great end of day 8.